What's going on, everyone? Today we got a new bike from Philodo. This is the all-new 60-volt dual-motor Forester e-bike. They've got it priced right now at $14.99, and here's a real quick rundown of all the specs. The Forester rides on 26 by 4-inch fat tires, has a front suspension fork paired with a single rear shock, which is an adjustable DNM air shock. Powering the Forester is a 60-volt, 26-amp-hour battery pack, which sends power through the 27-amp controller to feed the dual-geared hub motors, one in each wheel. The single or dual drive mode is selected using the control pad, and the mode is indicated on the display screen. It uses a cadence sensor for pedal assist, and it also has 7 mechanical gears. Standard equipment also includes a headlight, tail light, brake light, rear rack and fenders. The minimum seat height is 35 inches. Load capacity is 330 pounds, and the Forester weighs 94 pounds with the battery installed. All right, so now that you know the basics about the Forester, let me give you some more information about the performance and also the ride experience. With a 60-volt system, you might be wondering, what is this bike's top speed? And I can let you know that it's gonna arrive to you as a 20-mile-an-hour Class 2 e-bike. But if you unlock it to maximum speed, follow your local regulations, here's what happens. All right, throttle-only top speed run on the Forester. Let's see where we end up. Climbing nicely, we're up into high 30s. We got 40 on the bike, 38 GPS. Seems to be holding right there. It might be slightly uphill right here. And then it's gonna level off and give me, this is nice and flat right here. Let's see. 39, 40. 38 on the GPS. It's holding right there. That's about all I'm going to get out of it, I think. And I weigh 180 pounds. I can just barely keep up on the pedals. Still got a little feeling in the pedals. I can't get it much past 38, 39 though, pedaling. And you do have quite a bit of power in this bike. So cruising 15, hit the throttle full blast, pedal assist 5. I mean, it climbs right up. We're already doing 30 like nothing. It does have pretty strong power. They say online 2,000 watt motors, as in each one is 2,000 watts, with a peak of 5,000 watts. I'm not sure about that. I don't know that it's got 5,000 watts. It doesn't feel like it. I mean, you got 60 volt battery, which charges to 67. And then I did open up the bottom bracket area to look at the controller, and it's a 27 amp controller. So feeding both motors 27 amps. I'm guessing this is probably more, it feels more like in the 3,500-ish range of power, which is still a lot of power. 2 motors throwing down 3,500 watts, that's a good bit of power. Yeah, no problem cruising up this hill. This guy's in the middle of the road, what the heck? Let's back off. Good power. I mean, 60-volt system, I would expect to have pretty good power, and it does. So fully unlocked, I was able to get 38, 39 miles per hour out of this bike, which is pretty darn fast. If you are looking for a fast top speed, this one's got it. Now, acceleration's a different story. From a stop, the acceleration is quite calm. All right, let's see if I can show you an acceleration here. This is just rear motor only. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Very slow, gradual build off the line into the power. And it's almost the same in the dual motor mode as well. Let me go do that for you. So dual motor, we just double click the power button. Now we are in dual motor. Here's a dual motor acceleration. 3, 2, 1, go. Just as gradual. This thing is really easy into the power. You don't feel the power really kick in strong until the bike is like already rolling. Watch this, we're rolling at 5. Now we get front wheel burnout and it takes off like crazy. It wants the bike to be moving before it really kind of feeds you a lot of the power, which is probably a safety thing. And we can kind of trick it too. If I come to stop here and hit it, front wheel spin, the speedometer was still reading like 5 miles per hour when I stopped. So the bike thought it was still moving, so you can kind of kick it, but there you go. Strong acceleration once you're moving. I guess that's what I can tell you about acceleration. Off the line, very calm, very tame. So the acceleration from a stop is very, very tame, even in the dual motor mode. But once the bike's already moving and you then accelerate, it kicks in much harder. Here's a little bit more about how the power is delivered from both the throttle and also the pedal assist. Well, let's talk about power delivery, because there's some important things to know about how this Forester bike delivers its power. But first things first, the drive modes. There's only two. You can be in single motor, which is the rear motor, or you can be in dual motor, and you get both. And the way you get to the drive modes is right here at the power button. You just quick press the power button, double press it, and it changes right here on the screen. You can see which wheel is lit up. So I'm in rear wheel drive now, and it put down the power you saw in the acceleration test. It's a very gradual build into the power. So let's do a rear motor here, acceleration, very slow build into the power, right? And it's again the same with the dual motor mode, very gradual build into the power. I'm going to switch to dual motor. So there we go. We get our nice gradual build in. It's a delay on that front motor. It's very easy kick in. Now, the tricky part is once the bike is up and moving, as you can see now, we're rolling at like 6, 7 miles an hour. So once you're moving, the power kicks in so much faster. Like you get front wheel spinning, it takes off like crazy. Okay, so you got to be ready for that. You got to know once you're rolling and you hit that gas, it's going to take off and give you a whole bunch of power. It's kind of got the mid-range power, you know, from 7 to 10 miles an hour up to 30. It's just pulling very hard. Now the other thing is you can kind of trick this bike, and that is when you come to a stop, the speedometer is kind of counting down, and it's a couple seconds before it reaches 0. So if you start again before the speedo hits 0, it thinks the bike's moving and you get full power. So here we go. I'm gonna come to a stop. Speedo says 3, hit it, front wheel spinning, burnout, and take off. So you do kind of have to be careful how you engage that throttle when the bike's already moving. Got to be aware that it's going to give you a lot of power. But the good thing about this throttle is that it is not an on-off switch. You can actually feather it. So I'm in pedal assist 5, the bike's already moving. If I hit it, you get front wheel burnout, right? But I'm going to do a U-turn here under throttle power. So let's do a U-turn. Just going to gradually twist, feather the throttle all the way around in a U-turn. So you can baby the throttle and give it just little bits of power. So that's good. They got that right, the way the throttle engages. Now the other way you get your power is through pedal assist, and it is a cadence sensor. And if I start pedaling, you get about 1 full rotation before it kicks in. Now it's different from the power from the throttle. The throttle gives you power kind of 2 ways. If you're at a complete stop and you hit it, it's super gradual. And if you're already rolling, it kicks in super hard. But pedal assist is always gradual. It's always a gradual kick in. I'm gonna spin around this cul-de-sac. I'm in pedal assist 5, so this is gonna be the strongest kick in. So from throttle, if you do it like this, you spin the wheel, right? But if I start pedaling and use pedal assist, it engages really smooth. So the pedal assist engagement of power is always smooth, always smooth. Now I should also mention the pedal assist is a speed-based system, cadence sensor, and it's speed-based. So in pedal assist 1, I'm getting 11, 12 miles an hour, and then 2 pulls like crazy up to 18-ish miles an hour. 3 is going to give me 20. Got to get a higher gear. There we go. 23, 24. Pedal assist 4. Holy cow! This pulls so hard. 30 miles an hour. And pedal assist 5 is all out. We're gonna get close to 40. Too fast for this spot, so you get the picture. This thing, lots of power. If you like power, you're gonna like this one. And your throttle is also linked to your pedal assist number. So pedal assist 1, I get level 1 throttle, which is like 11 miles an hour. Same pedal assist 2. Level 2 power out of the throttle, about 18 miles per hour. So those are kind of connected. I did not find any way to give you full power in the throttle all the time. It's always kind of linked to your pedal assist number. Okay, so power delivery from the pedal assist is always very smooth. Power delivery from the throttle is a bit quirky. If you're at a standstill and you accelerate, very tame acceleration. If you're already moving and you accelerate, it kicks in hard. Or you could be at a stop, but if this display screen is reading anything other than zeros and you hit that throttle, you're gonna get a strong kick in. So it's just, I guess, something to be aware of. As long as you understand how that works, you kind of get into a groove with the bike. Day of riding, I got used to it, didn't really notice it that much anymore, but it's just something to be aware of, something you'd really only learn by riding and spending some time with this bike. So I mentioned I thought this bike had strong mid-range power. It's not always strong off the line, but once you get rolling, it feels really strong. And I think the timed hill climb run will demonstrate this the best. Okay, we made it over to our timed hill climb test. Now this bike has tremendous power, but it also has a pretty soft launch. So I think that's probably gonna hurt its time, but we'll find out. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Wow, it's so soft on the launch. Holy cow. But now that it's moving, now it's up and running. Now the power kicks in. And we're flying up this hill. Time. I'm gonna guess it. I mean, it was a really soft launch. 16 seconds maybe? 15, 16? I mean, once it's got rolling, it's got great hill climb power. You just gotta get it started. It's got that front motor's on such a delay that you gotta wait for it to engage, and then it starts feeding you the power. All right, we're gonna try this super steep off-road hill. And this is gonna be a wild ride because that's probably a 35% hill. I know it's hard to come through on camera. And it's full of ruts and loose gravel and also dry leaves. So we're gonna be spinning and digging, clawing all over the place. I'm gonna try to control it. Here we go. Gradual start. I gotta pick my line here. I guess we'll go here. Wow, I'm out of control already. Whoa, man. Holy cow. Oh my God. That was me wrestling this thing. I'm in pedal assist 3, so I was getting a lot of power. Holy cow. I mean, that front wheel just never stopped spinning. Swimming all over the place, but man, did it. It had some power to do it. Traction's always the key though, traction. It was a very slow start to the timed hill climb run, but I expected that. I knew it was gonna take off really tame like that, but once I got up and rolling, it really made up for it the rest of the way up the hill. It was a throttle only run. Most of the time I was riding this bike around, it was throttle only. If you can add in some pedaling, actually pedal to help it out, you're really gonna help your takeoff speed. And then once both motors kick in, you just have a ton of power at your disposal. Now I do like to try to give you a little bit of a feel what the ride position's like and the ride comfort. So here's some info on those areas. Show you what the ride position looks like. I feel like I'm leaning a little bit far forward. I'd probably put in either a shorter stem or maybe like a handlebar riser. Bring the bars back to me a touch. But it's not bad. Give you a look at the suspension here. I softened it up a bunch. It's nice and soft now, not bad at all. The forks are pretty basic. The rear suspension at least is an adjustable air shock. So I adjusted that to my weight. It feels pretty good. This Forester bike's got the DY Island brakes, which, I mean, you can lock up the wheels really easily. So you gotta be careful how hard you pull them. They're quite powerful, actually. I'm gonna do a little braking test here from about 30 miles an hour and show you. I'm not gonna pull them as hard as I can. All right, so there's 30-ish, and just powerful stop, minimal skid. You can skid anytime you want on this bike. So this is the Forester in orange. I think the only other color you can get is green. What do you think of the look? I think it's going to be kind of polarizing because it only comes in this camo graphic. There's no just plain colors. It's either green camo or orange camo. So if you don't like camo, I don't know if you like the colors. If you do like camo, it's probably going to be fine. This is my ride height. I have it probably, I don't know, 37, 38 inches. Show you what I look like on here. This is 6 feet tall. I usually set it where I can get my toes down on the ground like that. So here's my ride position. I'm a little bit leaned forward. It's not a crazy stretch, but I am leaning a little bit forward. I'd probably like it maybe back here. You could probably put a stem riser in or maybe a shorter handlebar stem here to lift it up a little bit. And then the minimum seat height on this is 35 inches. So there you go. It's minimum seat height right there. You're 6 feet tall. Minimum seat height. I can get my feet flat on the ground, no problem. This bike is not light, but not amazingly heavy. 94 pounds with the battery. So for dual motor, big battery pack, not crazy heavy. I've had much heavier bikes, some 110, 120. I even have a bike in my garage that's 145 pounds. So 94, not too bad. Now there is one other thing I'll mention about the ride position on this bike. Let me get it set where you can see. Spin this thing back around. My toes will hit on the front fender, front wheel in a sharp turn. So I'm kind of, if I'm doing low speed sharp turning, I'll sometimes end up hitting my toes on this front fender because I guess the wheelbase isn't quite long enough, or the rake on the front end is angled differently. So I've noticed that, just so you're aware of that. You gotta make sure you got your toes pointed in the correct direction when you're turning. What else? I mean, the seat's pretty soft. The suspension I softened up, so that's nice now. Again, this one has the key ignition thing right here you gotta turn on. And I'm always worried about hitting that and breaking it, but I have never hit one with my knee. So I guess it's not a problem. I can't say that's a problem. I just don't like it sticking out there like that. But the comfort of a bike is kind of specific to the person. For me, I've already adjusted the shock, made that nice and soft, so that's good. I'd probably keep the seat. I mean, it's pretty wide, pretty thick, so the seat's okay. I might change a little bit in the ride position of the handlebars, which is an easy, $10 part from Amazon. Other than that, yeah, I mean, you got to tailor the bike to your liking. Minimum seat height, 35 inches. I'm gonna say this bike is for taller riders. It's always really hard to put these bikes into perspective when you're looking at pictures online, or you see somebody that's 6 foot tall stand next to this bike. It doesn't look all that big, but trust me, in person, these 26x4 fat tires are pretty large. Here's my thoughts. If you are 5'7" or under, go get a in-person look at one of these bikes before you buy it online. Make sure it's something you can get on. Gearing felt pretty good on this one. I mean, the front chain ring's a 52 tooth, so that's plenty big. Even when I was at 35 plus miles per hour, I still had feeling in the pedals. The suspension was okay. You could probably hear it in some of the video clips making that clicking, creaking noise, and I was able to eliminate that just by lubricating these pivot points. They were a little bit dry, so once I put some oil in there, that took care of all the like creaky, clicking noises. It doesn't do that anymore. The front fork is a pretty budget front fork, but I do appreciate that they gave you a better rear shock. It's an adjustable DNM Air Shock. And when I got the bike, it was pumped up to like 150 PSI. So it was really stiff. And I took my air pump and adjusted it down to about 100 PSI, and that made it really soft, nice, cushy ride. Now there is just one more thing we got to cover, and that is, what is the range of this bike? Checking in on our range test. We're about 28 miles into the range test and still have very great power. Very great power. It doesn't feel like it's really lost a whole lot of power. It gets up and moves pretty good. Let's climb out of this hill right here. Oh, see that? Right. I'm just feathering that throttle so I don't spin in the gravel. Still ample power. It'll probably still. Oh yeah, still does a burn. Rough road test. The front feels all right, back feels all right. I've had better suspension, but this does pretty good, I guess. About 29 miles in, our top speed's about 34 now. So we've lost a step on the top end. Still seems to have pretty good acceleration though. Well, we've come to the end of our range test. I've been limping this thing home the last couple miles, and we're got one red bar showing on my battery indicator, and I'm at 52 volts. Pedal assist 5, all-wheel drive. Here's the power. Not much power. Oh, and it just cut out. You see it cutting out on me? The screen's flashing. We are out of juice at this point. It can't even keep a steady acceleration. So that's the end of it right there. 34 miles we went, and it was a good mixture of riding. It was actually not a bad mixture today. I probably spent about, I'm gonna say 8 to 10 miles on the Greenway, operating at under 20 miles an hour. And the rest of it was pretty much pedal assist 5, full power, full blast. Really making use of the power, all-wheel drive the entire time. So that's what I got out of this battery pack. Well, there you have it. I got 34 miles out of a single charge on this bike with what I'll call heavy use of the power. I mean, everybody's range is going to be different, but hopefully that gave you some idea of what to expect. All right, folks, I'll leave a link to this Forester bike below if you want to check it out any further, but I do hope you found this video helpful, informative, maybe at least entertaining. If you did, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.